Hi there, and welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Mark Peebles, here to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. Today is a very special day. It is Independence Day, the 4th of July, and we've got a great episode for you today. Before we get into that, though, I want to remind you of a couple of things. First off, if you're listening to this as a podcast, fantastic. You can find the Real Life in Real Estate podcast anywhere you get your podcast. And remember to follow us on YouTube. Like and subscribe on YouTube at It's Mark Peebles is where you're going to find all of our episodes. So as we get into this today, we are talking about the things that you are dependent on. And my desire is to make a declaration of independence for you to help you get free from all of the things that are holding you back this time of year. So let's talk about the things that you have just become dependent on that we need to get you to a place of independence with. The first thing is you've become dependent on debt. Now, you need independence from debt because debt robs you of peace, it controls your decisions, and it keeps you living for payments instead of on purpose. And so debt is robbing you of your independence. I can speak to myself here because over the years, I've done what so many agents do. They get into a slow time of year and they start using debt to keep up with things. And I want to get you to the place where you don't need that anymore. And the first step in that is you need to pay off your debt. You've got to get rid of debt, whether it is credit card debt, home equity lines of credit, car debt, or a big one that a lot of real estate agents get into is IRS debt. Now, I truly believe if you can pay off your debt, you're going to feel a weight lift off of you. And I'm preaching to myself because I've totally been there before. If you go back to What Makes Me Sick, I did 2 episodes, What Makes Me Sick. I talked about my debt to the IRS that I had and how I overcame that. And so I encourage you, go back and listen to that in terms of how to structure your business. But the bottom line is you've got to get yourself out of debt. I encourage you to also maybe check out a program like Dave Ramsey. I, for many years, was a Dave Ramsey ELP. His system works, right? It's actually a biblical foundation for getting out of debt. And the reality is if you can get out of debt, you will experience a lot of independence in life in general. Now, the other thing that you are dependent on, or that a lot of agents have become dependent on, is the next deal. I know agents right now who are desperate and they're saying, if I can just get to this next closing. I mean, I've been there so many times in my career. But the reality is we have become dependent on the next deal instead of managing our money right. Debt is part of that, okay? And if you get out of debt, that's going to eliminate a lot of your stress. But instead of living paycheck to paycheck, I want you to manage your money right so that when you get into slower seasons, you actually have the money there to cover your bills. That will bring you independence, not being dependent on that next deal. The other thing that agents are always dependent on is approval. They want approval from others. And a lot of times they seek that approval by, putting out their performance and getting people's comments about it. And they want that validation. They want to know that they fit into someone else's version of success. How do we do that? Well, we're watching everyone else's Facebook and we're seeing that they got this house under contract and that house under contract and they're taking this new listing. You know what? Without posting a lot as an agent, you can make yourself look really, really busy and really, really successful. And so what happens is agents do this and you're looking at it and you're starting to get discouraged because you're not that successful. Here's the thing. If you want to get independence from someone else's approval, you need to define success for yourself. What matters to you? Because comparison, it kills your joy and your confidence. So focus on your success, not the success of others. Stop killing your joy and confidence. Listen, if you'll just focus on the things that are most important to you, start with your family, your faith, your household, and then focus on your business, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, you're going to start to experience great success that is real success, not just something that you're putting out or someone else is putting out on social media, but you have to stop comparing yourself to others. Another thing that agents are dependent on is chaos. We are great at being dependent on chaos. We wake up every morning and we don't know what we're going to do. We just take off for the day, and by the time 10 a.m. rolls around, we are at home folding laundry or watching the latest season of our favorite show on Netflix. And the thing is we waste so much time, and then we wonder why we don't have the deals to pay off our debt. We don't have the money to manage, and we are desperate for that next deal. We're wondering why we don't have things to put out there to show our success on social media, right? But the problem is that we've become dependent on chaos. You need independence from the flying by the seat of your pants syndrome. Now, I will say I've always been great at flying by the seat of my pants. I'm great off the cuff, right? But the thing is if you want to be successful in this business, you need to put some structure to it, because structure doesn't restrict you. It actually releases you. One of the things that I teach is the CSRB, Consistent Systematic Relationship Building Framework. I encourage you to learn this framework, because if you can work around the systems that we provide there to consistently, systematically build relationships with people, it will take your business to a whole new level, which is going to help with every other aspect of your life. We have some episodes that you can reference back to, within the last 10 episodes or so, or 10 or 15 episodes, we did taking your business to the next level. So definitely go back, check out those episodes, because I think you'll get a lot of value out of it, and you can start to implement those things so you're not so much flying by the seat of your pants. The next thing that you have become dependent on, or a lot of agents have become dependent on, is comfort. We don't like doing hard things. And it's like this mental block that happens when a hard thing needs to happen, when you need to make that tough phone call, when you need to, call someone and schedule an annual real estate review. There's this block. You don't want to do it because it's hard and you have this fear of rejection. And let me tell you, it is much more comfortable to not make the call. But what happens is when you do make that call, when you do actually get someone on the phone and you say, hey, how are you guys doing? I was thinking about you today. And you start a real human conversation with them, a real human interaction. Then you all of a sudden realize, oh, this isn't so bad. Oh, they actually were really nice to me and they really enjoyed talking to me. And it leads to that opportunity to say, hey, listen, one of the new things I'm doing in my business is I am offering an annual real estate review to all of my past clients and everybody that I know who's a homeowner that would benefit from this information. And I wanted to see if I could schedule maybe 10 or 15 minutes. I'd like to do it via a video call with you, just to review your current home value and give you an idea of what the state of the market is in your price range, okay? Very simple to do this, and what you're going to find the vast majority of the time is people are going to be willing to do that. When you call and you ask people for referrals, simple way I always like to ask for referrals. Once you've built rapport, once you are in that place where you've provided them with some value, you ask two simple questions, right? With a statement in between. So the two simple questions is, hey, would you be willing to do me a favor? Now listen, have you ever asked anyone if they would be willing to do your favor and had them say no? I mean, it just doesn't happen that often, right? Most of the time, people are going to be like, sure, I'd be willing to do you a favor. Great. Hey, I'm really focused this year on taking my business to the next level. And to do that, I need help from people like you. And I wanted to see, who do you know who is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate this year that could use the service that I provide? And then let them think about it and answer. You don't need to jump in and talk more. Just let them think. Sit in silence with them and let them figure out someone who they might know that would need your services. Here's one of the cool things. A lot of times, or every once in a while, they're going to be like, well, actually, we could use your service, right? Now, it's a hard thing to ask. And the more comfortable thing is to catch up on your Netflix or start folding your laundry or, spend the day playing with the kids at the pool, which, listen, you need to schedule those things, but during work days, you do need to work. And if you will do some of these hard things, one, you're going to find it's really rewarding and it's not really as hard as you've made it to be in your mind. And then you're going to find, wow, I'm actually getting business out of this. Okay, so right now you're dependent on comfort. You need independence from that fear of rejection, from that mental block, so that you can ultimately go and be successful helping people. The last thing I'll say is that a lot of agents are dependent on the moment. This show is called Real Life in Real Estate. And let me tell you, the reason it's Real Life in Real Estate, and I don't just talk every day about how to do real estate deals or how to market, I talk about a lot of other topics on here, and you'll hear me talking about personal things a lot because we are all real people. And I don't care, how great you are in the business, how many deals you're going to do this year, how many millions you're going to do in volume, how big your team is. I don't care about any of that because the reality is that this life is hard. And you've got to get some things foundationally right in your life if you truly want to be independent of the moment, the hard times that you're going to go through. So you are currently dependent on what's happening today, what's right in front of you. If you want to get out of that and be independent, you need a vision. And I've taught this throughout in the past, and I will come back to this in a little more depth in future episodes, but you need a vision, a big life vision. Like, what is your destination? Where are you going? What are people going to say about you when you're dead and gone? What is your legacy? What did you build during your lifetime? You need that big life vision that defines what that is. Then you need to dream along the way. Second level of vision, dreams along the way. Why? Because when you fulfill a dream, it brings life to your inner being. There's just something that happens when you fulfill a dream, whether it's a trip you want to take or something special that you've wanted to do for your wife, or buying a new home, or buying an investment property. Maybe that's a dream of yours, and some life comes from that. And the last thing, and the base level of vision, is having goals that are going to get you there. I always say that if you have a goal to lose 10 pounds and you can see yourself doing it, well, you're a visionary. That's that base level. So if you want to get out of living in the moment and being focused on what's right in front of you and the stress that comes with that, you need to be able to see beyond that. When you do see beyond that and you see that you have a vision, you have a dream that you're working towards, and then you have some goals to get you there, what is going to happen is you're going to have hope for your future, which helps you rise above the moment and move into the place that you realize this is just a season and I'm just passing through because I'm going to bigger things. So let's review today. You need independence. What do you need independence from? You need independence from debt. You need independence from that need for the next deal through managing your money. You need independence on other people's approval by defining other people's success. You need independence from the chaos. You need independence from your comfort. And last, you need independence from the moment. I am so glad that we live in the United States of America and that today is Independence Day. It is the 4th of July. We live in the greatest country on the planet. And here's the big thing. There are so many people out there across this planet that do not have the opportunities that are afforded by being an American, and even more than that for this particular audience, that are not afforded to people that are not in our industry, that are not selling real estate. You have such great opportunity. So today we celebrate your opportunity as a realtor, and even bigger than that is we celebrate the opportunity that America affords us. So happy Independence Day. Happy 4th of July. I have people who have said, well, it's actually Happy Independence Day. Well, no, it's Happy 4th of July too. We can say it that way. That's how I've always said it. But I want you to be encouraged today, and I want you to be free from the things that are holding you back so that you can move ahead in the future and experience your best life and ultimate success. Hope you have a great week and a great holiday. Bye now.